upon a time in the town of Giggleburg, there lived a mischievous little monkey named Munch. Munch loved two things more than anything else in the world: bananas and cookies. One sunny day, Munch decided he wanted to have the biggest cookie ever. So, Munch hatched a plan. He put on his favorite polka-dot pajamas, tiptoed out of his treehouse, and headed straight to the bakery owned by Mrs. Baker, the friendliest baker in all of Giggleburg. As Munch reached the bakery, he noticed a sign that said, "Close for a special cookie experiment." Munch was puzzled but curious. He peeked through the window and saw Mrs. Baker wearing a funny chef's hat surrounded by colorful ingredients. Munch couldn't resist. He tiptoed inside and whispered, "Mrs. Baker, what's the special cookie experiment?" Mrs. Baker chuckled and said, "Oh, Munch, I'm trying to make a magical cookie that makes everyone giggle, but I need the giggle ingredient, and it's missing." Munch's eyes widened with excitement. "A magical giggle cookie? I want to help." So, Munch and Mrs. Baker searched the bakery for the missing giggle ingredient. They looked high and low, under tables and behind flour bags. Finally, Munch spotted a tiny ticklish feather in the corner. "I found it! The giggle ingredient!" Munch shouted. Mrs. Baker giggled. "You're a clever little monkey, Munch!" Together, they mixed the magical ingredients and baked the giggly cookies. The moment the cookies were ready, the whole town of Giggleburg filled with laughter. But oh no! Munch realized he forgot about his plan to have the biggest cookie ever. Mrs. Baker, seeing Munch's disappointed face, winked and whispered, "Don't worry, Munch. We can make the biggest giggly cookie together." And so, the entire town joined in, helping Munch and Mrs. Baker create the biggest giggly cookie ever seen. It was so big that Munch had to climb a ladder to put the finishing touches on it. As the sun set over Giggleburg, everyone gathered to share the gigantic giggly cookie. Laughter echoed through the town, and Munch learned that making others giggle was even more fun than having the biggest cookie. From that day on, Munch and Mrs. Baker became the official giggle-bakers of Giggleburg, spreading joy and laughter through their magical cookies. And they all lived happily and giggly ever after.